All right, welcome back. We are going to be doing the Chapter 11 review. So we're going to do one more problem for each depreciation methods that we learned. So we're going to do 1 units of production and another one for straight line and another one for double declining. And of course, we're also going to do one more example of amortization, but I'm not going to test you on it because it's the same thing as straight line. So out of the 3 that we're looking here, that's what I want you to make sure you can differentiate between the 3 and be able to comfortably calculate them all. Oh, excuse me. All right, let's get started with question number 1, units of production. So here I give you the depreciation method. So question number 1 says you purchase a machine for $2,050, okay, with a $50 salvage value, okay. Its estimated useful life is 7 years and can produce up to 25,000 units, okay. And of course, you put this machine into service as of June 12, okay. Use the units of production method. All right, so let's identify our variables. What did I buy?
A machine.
We bought a machine. Okay. And let's see, asset, how much did it cost me? $2,050. Okay. And then salvage value. What's my salvage value here?
500.
Yes, 500. Okay. What is the estimated useful life?
7 years, but if we're using unit of production, aren't we using the 25,000 units?
Yes, that's correct. This 7 years is just so you know what year you still can still keep using the machine for. It yes. In this case, that's that piece of information is to throw you off. All right. So here we how many units are we going to be able to produce? 25,000. And when did we place this asset into service?
June 12th.
June 12th. Okay. All right. So if I put my asset into service as of June 12th, when do I actually start depreciating my asset?
June 1st.
Yes. Okay, good. All right. So here you go. I have given you all 7 years of how many units you currently produced. So in this case, let's go ahead and solve for our entire table here. So first things first, what's my depreciation basis?
It's asset cost minus salvage value.
Good. So in this case, my asset cost $2,050. We're going to subtract the salvage value of 500. So what's my depreciation basis going to be?
$1,550, and it stays the same for the whole 7 years.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. What's my per unit rate?
Number of unit produced divided by the years of use, useful life.
No.
No. Oh, hold on. 13. Oh, depreciation basis divided by the number of units produced.
So which one?
At 25,000.
25,000. We're looking at the total number of units produced, not what we produced that year, right? We were trying to figure out what is gonna cost me for every unit that I produce. Get it? So it's a per unit rate. So in this case, I'm gonna be taking my 25,000 unit capacity. All right, and what's do I get from here?
It's 0.06 cents.
Okay, so in this case, it should be 6.2. Okay, and what happens to this rate?
Stay the same.
Yeah, so in this case, if we continue to keep calculating for the second and third and fourth and fifth year, we know that it's going to be the same thing, where it's going to be the depreciation basis divided by 25,000, which is going to give you the same exact per unit rate. Okay, so in this case, what is going to be my depreciation expense for year one?
108.
Okay, so how did you figure that out?
I times the unit rate with the units produced.
Good. So in this case, I produced 1750 units, and I'm going to multiply that by 6.2 cents, and that's going to give me 108.50. Okay. So, what is going to be my accumulated depreciation for the first year?
There is no previous year, so it's just gonna be the regular 108 then, same number.
Good. So then what should be my book value at the end of year one?
Just give me 1 second. The book value would be cost of asset minus accumulated depreciation
Correct. So cost of asset of 2050.
minus 108, which equals 1,941.
Good. All right, 1,941 and 50 cents.
Yeah.
So, since we already know that the depreciation basis and the depreciation or per unit rate is the same throughout the next 7 years, all we need to do is now continue just keep solving for their depreciation expense for every year. So in this case, if I produced 3,500 units as of year 2, what is going to be my depreciation expense for year 2?
It's gonna be the units number produced last year was 3,500 times the rate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, times the rate. So that's gonna be 217,000.
217.
I mean, not thousand, $217.
Yes, good.
Because all the zero.
Mm-hmm. Good. So in this case,
The accumulated depreciation would be previous year's accumulated depreciation, which is 108, plus the current year's $325.
good. Plus the 50 cents.
Yeah, 150, and then so I mean the book value would be the cost of the asset, which is 2,050 cents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean 2,050 minus the 1,724.
Good. 1,724.50. Good. Okay. So if I produced 3,800 units as of year 3, what is going to be my depreciation expense?
235.
Okay, good.
And the accumulated depreciation would be 561.
Okay, 300. Okay, 561.10. Good.
Yep. Then the book value would be the units produced minus 1,488
Good. $1,488.90.
and 90 cents.
Good. Good. So let's continue on. Keep going. So if I produce 4,000 units as of year 4, what's my depreciation expense going to be?
248.
Good.
The next number would be 809.1,
Good.
and the book value would be 1,240.
Good. 1,240 and 90 cents. All right. If I produce as of year 5, this time 4,300 units, what's my depreciation?
266.60.
Good.
1,075.70.
Good. Accumulated. Good.
And then the book value for that would be 974.30.
Good. All right. Last two. So for if on year 6, I produce 4,100 units, and what is going to be my depreciation expense?
254.20.
Okay.
1,329.90.
And my book value?
It would be 720.
720. Okay. Last one for year 7 now. We produced 3,600 units.
It'd be 223.20. 1,553.10.
Book value.
And 496.90.
Okay. So for year 7, what happened here? Is this acceptable?
No, because the salvage value is too low, so we have to backtrack.
Yes. So in this case, you can either backtrack, or what happens here? What can you do instead of working backwards? What can you do to be able to figure out the basically how to work forwards, right? What can we do to figure out how many we need to do in order for us to meet our book value at 500?
I forgot. I know it had something to do with, we had to use the depreciation expense, I think, minus the cost of the asset, which is, so don't we do the 6th year minus
No.
2,000? No.
Okay.
If you take the value from the previous year, the 6th year, track the salvage value of 500, that says what your depreciation expense has to be.
Okay, I see what you guys are actually working backwards. Okay. In this case, for units of production, there's actually another easy way so you don't have to work backwards. Do you guys remember what it was?
I don't.
Okay. So, units of production. Why do we use units of production?
We can see the total unit produced throughout the year
Correct.
to see how many more units we can produce on the 7th year.
Sorry. Absolutely correct, right? We have a capacity. And if you go beyond capacity, that is exactly why we fell below salvage value. Okay? So in this case, we need to test to see how many units over we went, or in this case, exactly, right? So we need to figure out how many total units I already produced in this entire time. So if I were to go ahead and do my equal sum formula, right? I find out that I did 25,050 units over. So how many can year 7 actually be?
We have to subtract 50 from that 3,600.
Good. So in this case, year 7 is going to give you
Wait, how do you know? How'd you get the 2,550?
we added all the number of units that you produced the entire time.
Oh, okay.
Because in this case, I can't go beyond a capacity. So in this case, how many units did I actually produce overall within that 7-year span? and then you'll find out that you went over 50.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
I get you.
so in this case, like, so we added the 1750 to the 3500 to the 3800 to the 4000, 4300, 4100, and then the last one was 3600, right? We
Right.
added all of that up, and we end up getting past the capacity by 50 units. So that means by 7th year, I cannot produce 3600. I can only produce 3550. So then if I were to process this all the way through, right, you should be getting the exact numbers here. So then you're supposed to get 220 and 10 cents. You add that to your previous year for the 6th year to get 1,550 to get to your salvage value or your book value to equal salvage value. So this way you don't have to actually work backwards, because in this case we're not, that's not what we're figuring out. We're trying to figure out what is the maximum capacity of units that you can produce. So in this case, we can only produce up to 25,000 units, right? That's why we have a total number of units produced. This is your cap limit. So if you go over that, that is the reason why you fell below salvage value. And that's why you have to figure out, that means on the last year that you were in production, those 50 units that you produced have a high chance of being defective products that you made. So in this case, right, because you went beyond the capacity, you need to adjust your books accordingly to only recognize that you only produced 3,550, because again, those 50 units extra that you've produced are at high risk of being defective products. So at the end of the day, you would have lucked out on it, because even though you produced them, chances if you tested those products, they're going to be terrible, because this is a machine. It's been working for 7 years now. Think about, what about the rubber bands on it? Are they still functioning? Have been worn out? The belt, the conveyor belts, or whatever that the machine has. Think about it. If it's been in service for almost 7 years now, what are the chances that it's actually fully functioning properly as it was that you just started it from the very beginning of the first year? Probably less likely, right? Even though, if you really think about it, on the 7th year anyway, it didn't even reach 7 years. But that's because if you look at the trend here, year 4 and year 5, you end up pushing it way over than what it should be actually producing in this case, right? So that's how you figure out how to get your book value to equal salvage value, because units of production is based on a capacity. How many units could you have produced that year to get you to your salvage value to equal out? Okay. All right. So no practice journalizing here, just because we've already done it the day before, right? All right. So then that is units of production. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into the next question here. Question number 2. We're going to be doing double declining here. So question number 2 says, okay, that you purchase a laptop for $890, okay? And it has a $50 salvage value, okay? Its useful life is 7 years, all right? And it was put into, you put this laptop into service on January 8th, okay? Use the double declining method to depreciate. So in this case, let's identify our variables. What did I buy?
A laptop.
We bought a laptop. Okay. What was my asset cost?
$890.
$890. Okay. What is my salvage value?
$50.
$50. Okay. What is the estimated useful life?
7 years.
And last but not least, what's the date that you place this asset into service?
January.
So what does that tell me? When am I going to depreciate?
January 1st.
We're going to start depreciating as of January 1st. So in this case, we're doing as of year. So if I'm assuming that at the end of the year, December 31st, I'm going to be depreciating my asset for the whole year. Okay? So in this case, let's go ahead and what's my depreciation basis?
Wouldn't it be the $50 because salvage value?
No, your book value.
It'd be the asset cost 890, right?
It'd be for the very first one. Yes, it would be the asset cost because
Because that's all we have to start with.
yes, but what is the actual?
Because it hasn't appreciated any yet. That's why.
Yes.
That's just
Correct.
Yeah.
It hasn't depreciated yet, so that means the book value of it in the beginning of the year should be what you purchased it for, which is the asset cost of $890. So what's your depreciation rate here?
So we do 1 times the estimated useful life. So
Not times.
divide it up.
Good.
1 divided by
Divide
One
by
times 2.
times 2.
yes, right? Because it's double declining. Good. So you have to remember it's not just one time, it's twice as much. Okay? So that should get you 0.285714 and so on and so forth. Okay. So in this case, what would be my depreciation expense for the first year?
It's the asset cost times the rate right now.
Not asset cost.
Well, no, the depreciation basis, which is the asset cost
Yes.
first year.
Times the rate. So basis times rate.
And it's $254.29.
Good. Right? And in this case, do I need to adjust this number?
The depreciation base changes, but late stays the same.
I'm talking about the depreciation expense number right here. This number here, the $254.29. Does this need to change? Do we need to adjust it?
Yes.
No, because we started January 1st.
Good.
Oh, that means yes. No. you don't
Yes.
need-
Good. Excellent. Because in this case, we started on January 1st. That means we are going to depreciate it for the whole year. All right. So what's my accumulated depreciation?
There is none, so it'd be depreciation expense.
254.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And
So the book value would be the asset cost minus the depreciation expense, accumulated depreciation. So it'd be 635.
good. $635.71.
71 cents.
Okay. So then what is my book value? I'm sorry. What is my depreciation basis for year 2?
It'd be the previous year's book value.
Correct, right? It'd be the ending or the beginning of the year's book value, which in this case, if the end of year 1 is this much, that means it's going to become the beginning for the next year. All right?
Wouldn't the rate be the same for everything?
Correct. Yes. Okay. So then
Your depreciation expense is 181.63.
I don't know whose TV or phone that is, but we're catching it. All right, so you said 181.63. That's correct.
Cumulative is 435.92.
Good.
And book value is 454.08.
Good. So then, what's my depreciation basis for year 3?
The 454.08.
Yes. Good. And then what is going to be 28.57143% of this of the depreciation basis?
129.74.
Good.
Cumulative is 565.66.
Good.
Book value is now 324.34.
Good. Okay, so number 4. For year 4, what's my depreciation basis?
For it's going to be 324.
Good.
The expense is going to be 92.67.
92.67. Good.
658.3.
Good. 3. There's 2 3s.
And then 231.67.
Hold on. How is 6? Okay, 6 plus 7. Okay. And then what was that?
31.67.
$231.67. Good. So what's my depreciation basis for year 5?
It's going to be 165.
Good. Oh, 231.67.
Yeah. Depreciation expense is 66.19.
Good.
Uh, 724.
724.
54, and then it's going to be 160. No, it's going to be 165.48.
Good. All right, so let's keep going on for year 6 now. Oh, Excel's picking up what I'm doing. So in this case, I got $47.28.
805. No, not 805. 771.60.
Good.
0.80, I mean,
80.
and 118.20.
Okay. So then,
118.20.
good. So what's my depreciation expense going to be for the year 7?
$33.77.
Good.
It's going to be 805.57.
Good. So giving you a book value,
$84.43.
okay, $84.43. Now, in this case, the laptop has definitely gone to 7 years, right? Because in this case, we depreciated start of January 1st. Or, yeah, that's what we assumed. January 1st is the whole year. So that means it's been going on for a whole 7 years. Now, at this point, can we continue to keep using it for another year?
Well, you probably could, but it would not be advisable.
True, right? But you, like I said, laptops you can still you could still turn it on. But is it gonna run as fast and smooth as it was when you just purchased it?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Yeah, you're better off buying a brand new laptop at this point, just because 7 years ago is actually kind of pushing it for a laptop. Okay, because especially imagine this, right? 7 years ago, yeah, it was probably a good computer back then, but of course, with operating systems being very slow, the amount of materials that you put on that, the fan's probably broken, the battery doesn't hold its power anymore. At this point, you used and exhausted it to the point where it's done for. However, that doesn't mean you could still push it for another year because why?
Well, you would still end up depreciation the next year would be approximately $24.
Mm-hmm.
So it would still leave it under the $50 or over the $50
Good,
salvage.
good. But at this point, right, like we agreed, we're better off, right? At this point, it's definitely not gonna be efficient, right? Because if it takes 20 minutes just to turn on, then that's already a sign that you're losing productivity because of how long it's gonna take you to operate and turn on your computer or turn on your laptop, and it's not functioning as quick as it used to, right? So at this point, you can go ahead and purchase another one. So that means you're gonna have to dispose it and lose out $50 or however much that you are intentionally might be selling it for, right? You could probably sell it for scrap metal, okay?
You take it home and give it to your grandkids.
Or that works too, but they're probably going to, more or less be like, I can't believe you gave me this laptop. It doesn't work. It's too slow, right? So again, at this point, you're better off with a brand new laptop at this point. So again, even if you did fixtures to it, this is a laptop, not like a build your own computer. Because with the build your own computer, you can always replace the parts. In this case, this is a laptop, not designed to be replaced with parts and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is it for double declining. Okay. All right, so let's go on to question 3 here, where we're going to do an example of straight line. Okay. So here is the scenario, right? You purchased a table set for $770, okay, with a $70 salvage value. Its estimated useful life is 7 years. Okay. And of course, you put this table into service as of August 21st. Okay. Use the straight line method. Okay. So let's identify our variables. So first off, what did I buy?
Table set.
We bought a table set. Okay. What is my asset cost?
$170.
$770, my salvage value.
70.
$50.
$70. My estimated useful life,
7 years.
7 years. And when did I place it into service?
August 21st.
August 21st. So
But we don't use that because that's past 30 days, so we use September 1st.
correct. Good. So that means we're going to start depreciating it as of September 1st. Excellent. So let's go ahead and take a look at our table here. So what's my depreciation basis going to be?
770.
Try again.
It won't be 770.
Why wouldn't it be 770?
Oh, because we started 3. Is it because we started like in September, so we have 3 months left?
No, we're not there yet. But no. What is the formula to solve for depreciation basis for straight line?
Let me pull it up.
Where straight line isn't it the salvage value or the
Oh,
asset
cost minus salvage.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in this case, 770, and we need to subtract the $70 worth of salvage value.
So $700.
$700 is your depreciation basis. So what's going to be my rate?
One divided by the useful lifetime, so 1 divided by 7.
So 1 divided by 7. Good. So what is this?
It is 0.142857.
Good. Okay. So now, what's your depreciation base expense going to be?
Depreciation expense is going to be the depreciation basis times the rate. So
But then you also, don't you have to cut it back because it was only for 4 months?
Good. So in this case, let's go ahead and figure that out. What is my depreciation?
Depreciation basis times the rate times 4/12.
Okay, so in this case, we put the asset into service as of August 21st, so we treat that as if it was September 1st, September, October, November, December, for 4 out of 12 months. Good.
so $33.33.
$33.33 is my depreciation expense for the first year. Okay. So,
It's going to be the same thing for the depreciation, accumulated depreciation because there was no previous year.
good. So in this case, what is going to be my book value?
The book value is going to be asset cost minus the accumulated depreciation, so 736.
760. The seven. Oh, you're right. You're 736. Yeah, I forgot. It's $70. Okay, so good. $736.67. So, what about my second year? What's my basis going to be?
Isn't it for straight line? It's the same thing.
Excellent. Good. So we acknowledge that means for all 7 years, it's all going to be the same exact basis. What about my rate?
Wouldn't your rate be the same thing too?
Excellent. It would be the exact identical because you're still 1/7 years. Okay. So then what's my depreciation expense going to be for the second year of this asset?
Well, it'd be the same thing because depreciation basis is all the same, so you can't change it.
So is it going to be the same $33.33?
No, because we have to start from because that's calculating. We just have to do the same thing, but not do 4/12. So do depreciation basis times the rate, and just leave it like that.
Good. So it's just their basis times rate because we don't have to take into consideration that it's being used for a certain amount of time, right? We're depreciating it for a whole year. So in this case,
Right.
how much is my depreciation expense then for the whole year?
$100.
$100. So therefore, my accumulated depreciation is going to be
Previous years plus
133 and 33 cents. Good. So then what is going to be my book value?
636.
636, right? What about my next year?
All your depreciation expense stays the same at 100.
Good, right? It's going to stay all the way down to the 7th year. Okay? So that means my accumulated depreciation for the 3rd year is going to be
233.33.
and then for the fourth year,
The book value.
333.
and then 5th year,
433.
and then I'm just going to go ahead and copy it down. So then you get $633.33. So you're just simply adding 100 here. And what's going to happen to your book value? You're going to subtract 100 every single time. So in this case, you get 536, 436, 336, okay, until you get all the way down to the 7th year. So now you have 136.67, okay? So question here is, can you go for an 8th year?
No,
No, you can't because it would be
it would be just 36 instead of the 70.
yeah. Because if you're minusing 100, yeah, it'd be 36. You're right.
Okay, so, but how old's my asset right now?
We
7 years.
only had 4 months in the first year,
Correct.
and we only claimed the 33 out of 100. So we still have $66.67 depreciation value on the 8th year for the 8 months.
Okay, so
Oh,
in this
yeah.
case, there you go. Okay, so that means we still have 8 months left to depreciate, right? So in this case, right, here's an example where what happens when I reach to that point and I need to get to my ending balance. Well, in this case, right, that means yes, my assets only what
6 months. I mean, 6 years
six and
and
4, yeah, so 6 years and 4 months. So that means
yeah.
I still have 8 months remaining on it. So that means I can still process all of this information because I can. Except for my depreciation expense, I can only do 8 out of 12 because that's all I have left for my assets life, right? So let's go ahead and test that theory. If I go ahead and say my basis times rate times the 8 months I have left on it out of 12, right? What am I going to get?
$66.67.
$66.67. So therefore, my accumulated depreciation becomes exactly 700, which will give me an exact amount book value of 70, which is equal to my salvage value. So in this case, you won't be able to do the whole year, exactly what you guys said, right? If you depreciate it for a whole year, you would fall below salvage value. That's correct. But how old is my asset? It's only 6 and 4 months. That means I still have 8 months left to use on it. So yes, I can go for an eighth year, but I can't depreciate it for a whole year. I can only depreciate it 8 months out of the year. So in this case, if I were to do that, then it's going to give me the number that I'm missing, which is that $66.67. But again, how May did it was she just figured it out, right? Thinking that okay, well I have to have a salvage value of 70 anyway, so therefore if I work backwards, I would have figured out that I need to subtract at least $66.67. Okay, so you could do it that way too. That still got you to your answer at the end of the day, that at the end of its life, you still had $70 remaining. Okay. All right, so that's straight line for you. Okay. So last but not least, let's go ahead and go over an amortization. So again, I'm not going to make you do all 15 years, but let's just go ahead and practice so we understand what we're looking at, okay? And the difference between amortization versus straight line, okay? So in this case, on October 10, you purchased a license for $556 even, okay? And you have a useful life of 15 years. So in this case, let's identify our variables here. So what's my assets that I purchased?
License.
We bought a license. Okay. How much did it cost me?
556.
Oh, 556. Okay. In this case, a intangible asset will definitely not have a salvage value. So in this case, the useful life,
It's 15 years.
15 years. Okay. And when did I place it into service?
October 10th.
So when do I actually start depreciating it?
October 1st.
October 1st.
Good. All right. So let's go ahead and calculate what my depreciation basis is going to be.
556 is the cost of the asset.
Good, because in this case, there's no salvage value. So in this case, if you drop it, the salvage value, all you're left with is your asset cost. So good. Okay. So what is your rate going to be?
It's going to be 1/15. So, well, hold it. 0.66.
Okay. What's my depreciation expense going to be for the first year?
$9.27.
Okay. How did you get $9.27?
Because we're only claiming for October, November, December, which is a quarter of the year.
Good. So, or 3 out of 12, right? which is 1/4, which is a quarter of a year. So yes, whichever way that you understand 3 months out of 12, you'll get $9.27. Good, right? Because we can't claim all of it. We can only claim 3 months, right? So
The accumulated amortization would be the same thing because there's no previous year.
good. So what's my book value going to be on this license?
It's going to be 566 minus accumulated, so 546.
Good. All right. So then what's my amortization basis going to be for the second year?
Wouldn't you have to? Wouldn't you
Doesn't
have to
rate
calculate?
rate will be the same as the
Oh, yeah, it'd be
previous.
Yes, because we said that amortization functions exactly like straight line. So if the depreciation basis, rate, and expense are supposed to be all the same, right? That's the exactly thing that we're going to do here for amortization because they are exactly the same. Only difference is there's no salvage value. So in this case, yes, the basis is going to stay the same, which is just the asset costs, right? The rate is still going to be 1/15. Okay. Now the only difference between the first year and the second year is
the first year we only calculated, we did 3/12. This year we don't have to do that, so it'd be just 556 times
I'm
the rate.
rate
So
3707.
yep, 3707, and this rate or this expense is going to be constant all the way down. Because the following year, if you have the same rate and the same basis, it's going to be the same exact number all the way down. So, what is my accumulated depreciation for the second year?
4634.
Bringing my book value to be
500 and yeah, that one.
yeah, $9.66. Sorry, I dropped it before you finished. So in this case, what is my accumulated depreciation for the third year?
going to be $83.40.
Good, 41 cents. Okay, because remember you rounded 34 plus 7 will give you that extra 1 cent. Okay, and then my book value is going to be for
463.30.
no. Okay, let's do that
Wait.
again.
I did it wrong.
Okay, so 5.
I put something in wrong.
Maybe 472.
472. Good. Okay. What's my accumulated depreciation for year 4?
120.47.
Good. 120.48. Don't forget that 1 penny.
I don't know. For some reason, it doesn't. It's like whenever I carry it, doesn't add over. It's just. I don't,
Is it because did you put the round equal round formula in the depreciation expense account?
when I did oh no, I didn't.
Because in this case, if I were to leave them unrounded, yes, that invisible penny would not show up.
So I
Yeah,
have so
good job.
the equal round. See, okay, I get it.
Yeah, or you just have to calculate it and then round it manually by retyping it back in there. Okay. All right, and then my book value.
When I equal rounded, it goes down. It doesn't go up. I think it's because I'm using Google Sheets.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. You should be at 3707. This number 3707 is what you're constantly calculating. So if you want to override it and say 3707 all the way down, then what you're adding is 3707 to $9.27. That should give you 14. And then adding another 7 should give you 1. That's 11. Plus another 7 should give you 8. You
Yeah, I
know,
just figured.
in this case, that should also be a way for you to double check your work too, because you should add up your pennies to make sure that it does even out.
So
Okay?
that means the accumulated depreciation will be 157.55,
Yes.
and that means 388.54. I mean
Good.
45.
Good. So in this case, I'm not going to have you do the rest of the 15 years because it's just going to be the same exact thing, rinse and repeat. Okay. So good job. There you go. That's all 3 methods plus amortization, which is same thing as straight line. So all those 3 methods. So that's how you're going to be able to differentiate those 3. Now, in a real world, you can only choose one method and stick with it all the way through. So if you're going to use a straight line for one asset, use it all the way through. Now, that doesn't mean that every other asset that you have on hand, you can select a different method for each and every single one. And we will take a look at that in the class project in the last 5 weeks of class, okay? That we have a bunch of fixed assets and we're going to measure them and we're going to depreciate them each differently, okay? All right, so again, that is the purpose of depreciation, is you're going to choose which method will fit best for your company, okay? But other than that, is there any other extra questions in regards to depreciation?